Today I have a Sony SBV500 in to repair. This is my own equipment. If you don't know what this is, you're not alone, because most people don't know what this is. And those that did, well, they didn't buy it because it was so bloody expensive. Let's check it out. That's not good. That's terrible. What is going on here? I know it can do better than that. It's not supposed to look like that. Trust me, it's not supposed to look like that. I should see color bars on here, and I'm not. And I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It's because this thing's broken. What we have here is a total lack of respect for the equipment. And if you guys know what movie that was quoted from, I paraphrased it a bit, but sign off in the comments. And I'll leave it at that. What we're looking at here, folks, is a total lack of respect for the equipment. But it's not supposed to do that. It's supposed to do that. But even at that, it's not right. First of all, this thing doesn't know the words, because she's humming. And we got some nice hum bars drifting through the picture. Now this piece of equipment that I'm dealing with here is, well, there, you see, there we go. That looked really great. That's muting. It's supposed to black the screen. That's not blacking the screen. Kill the audio. I haven't even showed you what this is yet. This is a piece of equipment that was, it was for my studio. And I haven't used it since it broke down. It's been collecting dust for years. And I thought, you know, I probably could use this thing. It has a lot of cool features to it. And I haven't even showed you guys what it is yet. I'm keeping you guys in suspense. Should I show you what it is? I'll tell you right now, this was a very expensive piece of equipment. This equipment at the time was probably about 1,200 bucks. I bought it from the shop wholesale, and I probably still paid 500 for it. And for what it is, it ain't worth 500 bucks. Not worth 1,200 bucks. Well, maybe it is. I haven't been into it, so I don't know what's inside it, but I'll show you the equipment. It's just an unassuming black box. What possibly could this thing be? I mean, come on. It's got some plugs on the back. It's got some plugs on the front. It's got some switches on the front. This is a dubbing switcher. It's got 4 inputs on the back, 1 on the front, 4 sets of outputs on the back, 1 on the front, monitor out on the back, and basically it's just a fancy switcher. It's a fancy video switcher is all this is. I'll unplug everything because we know it doesn't work. Here it is from the front. It's called an SBV500. Gee, look. This is what I was using this as an input select for audio equipment. I don't think I was using the video. The last time I was using this, I wasn't even using it for video. I was using it for audio routing, which was kind of a waste, considering how much this bloody thing cost. I forget what the output modes are on here, but it's got 4 inputs on the front, or on the back, plus an input on the front. So when you press down your buttons here, you can select input 1, 2, 3, or 4. Output mode A or B, I forget what that is. Monitor, video muting, audio and video muting to the monitor. It has a front rear input here, which gives you that extra input number 4, becomes number 5. On the back, it's just got, well, you see, it's got all kinds of inputs and outputs. More importantly, it has S-Video. So it will switch S-Video as well as composite video. It will also take composite video, it has a comb filter in it, and it will separate the lumina from the chroma and give you an output. It has outputs that can feed to multiple machines, and when I was doing tape dubbing, the last time I used it, I was using it as an audio switcher, but when I first got this, I was using it as a distribution amp when I was doing tape dubbing, because all the VCRs could be plugged into here and outputs going to them. Now, I had more than 5 VCRs. I had 25. Each one of these went to a distribution amp, 1 in, 5 out. But it let me control all of them through here, and I could play them back. I could select the machines and play back for testing and so forth. But anyway, I've had this thing for many, many years, and I haven't used it in many years. Haven't used this thing since everything went HD, so I was actually still probably using this. That's why it had like DAT and CD and the other inputs on it. I was just using it as an audio switcher going into the computer so that I could put in multiple sources into my sound card for capturing from different sources. And that's what it was being used at in its last life. And then it started humming, you know, because it didn't know the words. And once it started to hum along, then it was time to remove it from service. And now I'm thinking, you know, this might be good to put in my conversion chain for my different video equipment. I can take the S-Video out, for example, from the output, and I can feed that into my S-Video input on my capture device, and then I can feed everything, whether it's composite or S-Video. I can just let this do YC separation and do all my switching. I don't have to start, like right now what I've been doing over the last number of years is I've been just plugging and unplugging cables. If I need to use my Betacam deck, I plug the Betacam deck in. If I need to use a 3/4, I plug that in. And I have to just keep switching cables. And I'm thinking if I get this thing working, which I'm sure I can, I'm sure it's just capacitors, probably over in the power supply here, get this thing working properly, then I can put it back into service, and then I can save the wear and tear on all the connectors and just leave everything connected and just push a button for what I want to do and be done. Now when you see all that's in here, it's no wonder this thing cost what it did. I mean, this was ridiculously expensive. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be probably these caps here, this one, and probably these two here. I don't think any of these other ones are going to be problematic. They're just signal caps. That's going to be the YC separation for the comb filter in here. There'll probably be something on the bottom of this as well, and a delay line, for example. But oh, there's the delay line there. What does it say on it? Does it say comb filter? I'm sure there's more circuitry to it than what you see. There's going to be circuitry underneath this as well. But that's a delay line there. We're not going to touch any of these controls because they've all been calibrated. I got to get into the back of it here. I'm going to pull the board, and the bottom doesn't come off this thing. As you can see, it's a flat bottom. So I'm just looking at the best way. I think probably if I remove the screws to the back and the screws to the board, I can tip the whole board up, and that will give me access to the power supply and replace these caps that we know are bad. So let's get started. I mean, just look at the transformer on this thing. I mean, it's, you know, it's beautiful. And the wires are all nicely tied down here. I gotta cut some of these wire ties just to get them out of the way because I know I'm gonna need some slack. They spared no expense for this, that's for sure. And you paid for it. Like, I don't know how many of these are out there in the wild. There can't be that many. There can't be that many, just because of the bloody price of this unit. This was actually a piece that was sent to stores. Like, what we used them for in the shop, and this is where this one came from, was Sony built us a camcorder display. And this allowed us to put all the different models of cameras onto, like, one big TV. You can switch between them. That was what we used it for at the shop. When the camcorder display was taken down, this was now a surplus piece of equipment. So it was just kicking around at the shop. It'd probably been, you know, there for a couple of years. And I kept bugging the owner of the shop and said, hey, what are you going to do with that switcher? You know, you want to sell it? No, I want to use it. I'm going to take it home. I'm going to use it at home. And it sat around for the longest time, not doing anything. And then finally one day the boss comes up and he says, "Ah, you want to buy that switcher?" I said, "Yeah, I'd love to buy it. What's it going to cost me?" And he got out his paperwork to see what he paid for it, and then sold it to me for what he paid for it, which I think was too much. I think I should have got a bigger discount than that, considering it was used. But I wasted a lot of money on video equipment back in the day. When I was doing weddings and corporate stuff. Yeah, a lot of money was spent on video equipment. I would think nothing of spending $5,000 or $6,000 on a camera or more, because what it did was it gave me an edge over the competition. That was what we were always. Anybody in the business, and photographers are the same, right? You're charging a small fortune to do a wedding, and you want your work to stand out from the competition, so you have to have better equipment. So I wouldn't bought all the most expensive equipment that I could find, because it just gave me that edge, and it did. I mean, the higher end gear certainly did look a lot better. I'm just looking to see what's holding this up now. The board is still being held in place somewhere. Something's holding it in. I guess I have to undo these connectors and plugs and stuff. That was a band that could really perform. If you've ever heard the band Stuff, look them up. They were a great funk band. Released a bunch of records. Stuff. More stuff. I think the band's name was probably referring to what they used to stuff up their nose. I should unplug over here. I think it's going to unplug. There we go. All right, now will it tip out now? Got to undo all these plugs. Undo that plug. Gets the power transformer out of the way. And there's another one back here, I'm sure. Nope, that's on a regulator. That's soldered down. I can take out this plug for the power light. You gotta be careful with these old plugs. You don't want to break them, because sometimes they'll just pull it right apart. They've been together for so long that you gotta be careful when you're removing them, because they could break. There, we got it. Okay, now, oh, that looks like it's been warm, doesn't it? Okay, let's change some craps. Get this thing working. Let's check the ESR of these caps down here. This one C914, 0.3. This one's 0.9. That's obviously going bad. What about this one here? 917, 12. Yeah, this one's bad. How about this one here? 5.9. That one's probably also needs to be done. But there's 4 of them here. 4 that I will swap for starters. And I'm just going to do these ones because I know it's a power supply issue. I mean, I could go crazy and change them all. There's tons of them, but it's basically that one, that one. I didn't even check that one. I'm going to have to do that one too. I did these ones here. I checked these ones here. But these two, this one probably, what does that one say? I didn't even look at it. It's way back here. But I bet it's bad. That's the main filter. Yeah, 7.8. Yeah, that was bad. So we'll change these ones out, and then try it out, see whether I fixed it. Oh yeah, yummy. And she's leaking. She's leaking. This one is a 3300 at 25 volts. I have one. And it's not a new one either, but it's new enough. It's new enough. This one will go in here. Actually, I don't know whether it's a pull or whether one I just installed and then removed. But it's probably a used one. That one's been leaking for a while. Pop this one in the board. I will say that this was never turned off. This was running 24/7, never shut off, and then we had a power failure, and when the power came back on, it didn't work, and that would explain, because the caps were hot, they were working, but when they cooled down, they didn't work, which is quite often the case. That's why my monitor, my LCD monitor for my camera has been down for months, because it was fine until the power went out, and I just haven't got around to taking it off the wall to fix it. Been using the plasma instead as my preview. Okay, that was done. We'll do these other two over here, which I tested, and I know that they're going to be bad. These are obviously not going to be as large of cap as that other one. This damn thing is dropping shavings on the board. I guess I better clean it. As I use it, it's dropping metal. Okay, that's these two. 1000 at 16. I don't have any 1000 at 16. I do have some 470 at 16. They'll have to do. I'll put two of them in parallel. That'll get me close. And it's not going to be critical. Right? Not going to be critical. So we'll just string two of them together in parallel and put them down on the board. I'll have to stand them up a bit here, but I got space. So let me get them connected in parallel, and then I'll get them mounted. Okay, I've stacked two of them on top of each other. We'll put these down into the board, and then once they're installed, I'll bend one of them over. I mean, this will probably fix it. Just these three caps. But we'll do a couple more. These other ones that did measure with funny readings, there's a coil in series with two caps in parallel, so to get an accurate reading we actually have to remove them, but I think these ones need to be done. But we'll just unsolder one terminal just so that I can measure them out of the circuit. 915, 917, 916, and 918. Those are the four that I want to check. Just with one lead disconnected. That way I can get an accurate read, see whether they're. I'm sure that they are bad, but we'll check them and see. So this one here, 917, is 11 ohms. Yeah, that's bad. This one here, 16. Yeah, that's bad. These are all four of these are going to have to go. Okay, let's change them. And I'll do just these four, and then we'll put it back together, because I think that that's going to get this working. I'm sure these are going to be smaller. These little caps here, what, about 220, I think. What are they? Yeah, 220 at 16. There's four of them here. They're all going to be the same. 220 at 16. Yeah, all four of these. They're all bad. And I bet you everything else is fine. We'll up the voltage a bit to 25, as that's what I have. This is a lot more work putting this back together just because of the way the cabinet is built. I have to actually pull all the screws out here to remove the jack, or remove the back from the plug panel, so that I can actually fit the board back in place. So remove all those screws, and now I can fit the board in. Otherwise it just wasn't going to go in. You find the standoff and drop it down on the standoffs. Different size screws for the S-Video. Kind of like these ZIF connectors, zero insertion force. So you just line them up and they will just plug right in, and then you just close down the gate. Make sure everything lines up like it's supposed to. Okay, the moment of truth. Hook it back up to the monitor and the color bar generator, and we'll fire it up and see what happens. Okay, power on. And let's select the input on the front. Input 5. Yep. Looks perfect. We check the other inputs. I'll just plug it into input, where are we going here? On the back here. Input 4. Input 4. Okay, that's 4. The mute button works too, kills it. And then the next one will be input 3. That's 3. Input 2. Where's 2? Why is 2 not working? How about 1? Is 1 working? Input 1's not working. What the heck? Okay, that's weird. Oh, I hit the mute button. Duh. Input 2. That's working. Input 1. That's working. Look on the front. The YC auto separate is lit. So it will separate the YC signal when it's present and give you an S-Video out. Monitor kills. Now this also has outputs on all of the other output terminals too. So for example, if I plug into monitor 4, I will get a signal on it. If I plug into monitor 1 over here, I will not. And I think that's what the output mode, maybe that does that, I forget. But I think it's for the front panel, actually for the front one. If I plug into input number 4 on the front here, and output, and I plug input 4 in, if I switch it to 4 and switch it to the front, yeah, that's what it does. So on input 4, what it normally does is, and I think if I plug into the one at the back, it probably won't be on. I think it's just for the front input. I might be wrong. Oh, it does. Okay, so input number 4. Of course it will, because I'm not on that input. I'm on the front input. If I switch to the rear input, yeah, you see I got no picture. I'll show you guys. So I'm flipping the switch here. So what it does, normally there's isolation so that you don't get feedback, audio and video feedback. On input 2, I've got output, or sorry, I'm on input 1, that's why. I've got output from the video out 2 here with my input on video 1. Plug the input into video 1. There's no picture. The switch on the front makes no difference. So video 4 is selected. You can see I'm flipping the switch on the front here. You guys can see this. So what that does, in output mode A, your monitor out will select whatever input you've selected. 1, 2, 3, 4, or number 5 over here. The outputs on the back, if you're on input 1, output 1 is muted. But output 2, 3, and 4, and the monitor out have video audio. If I switch it to input number 2, input 1 will output video. Output 1 will output video. Output 2 will not. 3, 4, and the line out will. Select number 3, same thing. Your input would be switched to number 3. You'd have an output on 1, 2, 4, and monitor out. Input number 4, on the other hand, in output mode A, is exactly the same. I've got no signal now on my monitor, but if I flip the switch to output mode B, then the output is live. So that could result in, feedback, for example, if that was connected to an input on a VCR, for example. But what it gives you the ability is, it gives you in output mode B, it lets you feed all the outputs, including the one from the input. So if you had something plugged into the front, you could feed it to all 5 outputs on the back and 1 on the front at the same time. I think. I don't know if the output on the back is live when I'm switched to the front input. I'm just going to see, because it's been so long since I've used this. I think it is. Is it live or not? It is, yeah. So all the outputs are live. All the outputs are live. So that allows you to get that extra output. And that's what I used to use. Is when I was using it as a distribution amp. I had the 4 outputs on the back and the 1 on the front connected into recording devices that I was using S-Video for the machines that had S-Video in, like DVD recorders and stuff. I was using S-Video, but okay, now I'm going to put this unit back into service now that it's fixed. I'm going to put it back into service, and then I can have my 3/4 inch plugged into it, my Betacam SP, my Betamax, and my Super VHS. Betacam and SVHS can be done over S-Video, and then plug my digital 8 camera into the front, and then the output from here will send to a monitor and into the capture device. I can send in over S-Video or composite, but it's going to get put back in service now that it's fixed. These were a great switcher. They had great image quality. Very, very expensive when it was new. It was nobody in their right mind would buy one of these for home use, because it was, like I say, I think it was $12.99 or $14. It was ridiculous. Even the wholesale cost on it was way up there. Like, it was, I think I paid $400 for it. And that was after begging and pleading with my boss to sell it to me, because it was just sitting there collecting dust. And after it was taken out of service on our camcorder display, once it was taken out of service on that, it was just kind of sitting there on the showroom for sale with like $12.99 sticker on it. And of course, nobody in their right mind is paying $1,300 for that. But it was a niche market, expensive, but very high quality switch. There you go. It's a SBV500 Sony audio video selector. And this was also remote control. IR window in the front. There's a remote that you can switch it remotely. But great for multiple video devices when you only had one AV input on your TV. But for what it cost, nobody in their right mind would have bought it for that. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.